Oh my God, if this was my life. Oh. Yay! All right. We're all in this together. Thank you all for coming here on this Wednesday evening. Okay, if everything works well. I know. Okay. If you have questions if you're online, you can ask away. I might not see them right away, but people will probably yell at me if you have questions. And we're going to start with the presentation, and then we'll go into actually going through items. I have video, but no audio. Other people can hear, so maybe it's on your end on the computer.
Turn up the sound.
My sound, yeah, turn up the sound maybe, Sandra?
But you might have to type it.
Yeah.
Oh.
You just want to get us all in a good mood, don't you, at the beginning?
Yes, it's a 2-drink minimum for my presentation. Figure that out. Okay, if everyone else can hear me, at least I know my end's working. Hello, good to see you. Okay, so we'll start. This is going to be kind of slightly awkward because I have to, there's one presentation on the laptop and then another up here. 4 new messages. There's a number to call in. Oh.
No, type it.
Yeah, you can type it. Okay. All right, you guys can yell at me if they ask important questions. This is a great stimulating thing. You get to read things and listen to me. Oh, you can't fall asleep now. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about tonight is really all about some of the big issues that have been happening, China focused. We're going to go through that, and then we'll go through material type by material type to just go over and review. As we were talking earlier, some of you it's been 5 years since you've taken the class. So if you haven't necessarily been exposed to any new messaging from us then, or you haven't read the emails I sent, all my emails, then you might be a little lost. And even Linda was saying, like, yeah, it's been 5 years. I don't feel as confident about telling people yes, no's. So that's totally understandable. I sometimes don't feel confident, and I do it every day.
You always sound confident, though.
That's right. That I have a degree in BS, Bachelor of Science, and you get to just sound confident, and everyone will believe you.
True.
Okay, just making sure.
You're okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. You're on it. Okay, so let's get started. First, we have China. Anyone get to read any of the articles I sent today, or if you've been seeing any?
Yes.
Okay. Have your friends asked you about it? Because you're the master recycler, so they go to you for all things recycling. So China, pretty big deal. I've been in this industry for 12 years. People have, so it's the biggest thing in my 12 years, but I've even talked to people who have been in the industry for 30 years, and it's pretty unique. It's a unique situation that we've never seen before. So as we know, recycling is a commodity. We tie it to the we tie it to the economy. So when even oil prices are really low, then recycling of plastics aren't worth anything, because you could buy oil from an oil field way more cheaply than you could refine plastic bottles. Same thing when cardboard, or not cardboard, oil, kind of the biggest one we see. But when it's tied to the economic market and it's a global market, then something that happens in China will have ripple effects all over the world. The thing about this that's different is we have been relying on China more and more every year for the last 40 years to take our recycling. When they've been having an economic boom, which is great for them. They're kind of in their industrial revolution. They're making a lot of our products and sending them here. So all the manufacturing was centered in China. They also needed materials then to make the stuff that they then sold to the world. So they were taking in all of our recycling, and we were getting really used to that, especially in America. And not just us, Europe, Asia, everyone was using China. And we'll go in through a few stats too. Well, we got so used to it that we got really lazy too. And we being a lot of the sellers of our material, our recycling material, they just wanted quantity. And they would bale it all up at a recycling facility, and it would have junk in it. Mm-hmm. And some recycling centers were better than others, and some weren't. And so they just try to cram as much as they could, because you get charged by weight. Or you get, not charged, you get paid by weight. So then you'd also kind of weight your materials too. So all these bales were going to China. And they kind of could take some of our junk because they needed supplies of materials so badly that they would just take it. And it was very unregulated. If you've seen any of the videos of, kids taking apart like electrical equipment and burning wires over a flame to get copper, like, no environmental regulations. It's, like America was turn of the century. But that's changing. Now they're getting environmental standards. And for instance, last year, Xi Jinping was presenting to Congress for his new term, and he said the word environment more times than he said the word economy. The environment is going to be very central to their economy and to their culture going forward. So that there's a lot of things that happened from that, and a lot of that came from the Olympics too, everyone looking at China, the smog, remember the smog alerts that were happening, and everyone was looking at them. Well, for trash, that means that inspections were starting to happen. So in 2017, a mass inspection process happened in late 2016, early 2017, and they started breaking open, at ports, they started breaking open all the bales, pretty much, and just looking. And they said, you are sending us your trash. So they put a hold. Like July last year, China sent the World Trade Organization a memo saying, we are no longer taking recyclables, or specifically 24 materials. Two of the biggest ones though, plastics, 3 through 7, and mixed paper, which is just everything besides cardboard really, mixed paper. We're not taking it right now. That was 2017, July. And we were obviously watching, and we're like, they're not gonna keep that. There's no way. They need materials. What are they gonna do? So of course, National SWANA, the Solid Waste Association of North America, and the EPA and federal government, everyone was involved with the World Trade Organization and China to try to figure out the next steps. Well, China did relax a little bit, but not a lot. They said, okay, we'll take your materials if you can meet these very, very, very tight standards of contamination. So for instance, their old, I think it's on this one. Let's do the next slide. Okay. That's okay. I'll get to that in a second then. So what I was going to say is, how much did China take? They took 30% of all recyclables exported in the U.S. So everything that we exported that didn't stay domestically, that were going elsewhere in the world, 30% of that was going to China. Most of that, if you actually break down the regions, more like 75-80% of all West Coast materials were going to China. Mm. So think about it in a regional way too. Hong Kong and China were the main places we exported plastics 3 through 7 because they were the ones that were making new products from it. And think about plastics 3 through 7, and we'll go through that a little later too. Think about what that means. That's basically everything. That's why we could just throw it in like, we don't know what kind of plastic it is. We'll throw it in. The West Coast, so China, takes 55% of the world's scrap paper. We used to be really good at having our own paper mills, and if you've been hearing more and more paper mills shutting down in the last 10 years, we see it in recycling news all the time. It's not because yes, the paper is kind of dried up. Newspapers, aren't as popular anymore. We know that. But we still use a lot of paper. The reason is because most of our paper we could sell to China and get a good price for it because they were making so many paper goods.
Person waiting.
Thank you. Okay, so then, here's a graph, an example of exactly what China was taking. I'm standing right in front of you.
We can't see.
Just kidding.
We didn't see that previous slide.
Okay, well.
Can you answer what is National Sword?
Yes, so National Sword, let me blow this up. Oh, here we go. The question was, what is National Sword? National Sword is just the term for this whole chaos. I don't know who named these things. In 2016, it was the green fence. Don't know how that got its name. Suddenly, someone just makes a name for it. I don't know if it's from China. Hi, nice to see you. Come on in. National Sword. Now there's a new one I just found out about called the Blue Sky. So National Sword was 2017, a little 2018, and now it's the Blue Sky. I don't know who named them. It's another, I don't know.
And they're the names for what?
The events. Like the time of chaos will now forever be the National Sword.
Okay.
And everything after the National Sword chaos will apparently be the Blue Sky.
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes, blue sky.
Yeah, there you go. So here's a chart of exactly what this was in 2015, but it's pretty similar even now, or before the National Sword. So film, which is the plastic stretchy film, all the blue means we exported it outside the US, and the red, orangish color is what we kept inside the US. And you can see about 50% of our film was sent overseas. Sometimes we have better markets. HDPE, which are like the jugs like this, we have much better markets in the US for since we just have always had good markets and we can make products from it. So a lot of that stays. So you can see for things that don't have a lot of domestic markets, that can really hurt us. That's just one example. There's many other charts like that. Okay. So what does this mean? Okay, your main market for all your materials at your recycling center shuts down. What do? You freak out. We actually have been pretty insulated in the Midwest. We in the Midwest have been protected because we've had really good markets for a long time. We have paper mills here, glass manufacturers, even plastic manufacturers, or we use the South for sending a lot of our plastics. They have paper mills. So we've been pretty secure. We haven't been affected by the National Sword a lot because we've had these domestic markets. That's how it should be. In fact, like Eureka prides itself, Eureka Recycling out of Minneapolis, prides itself because they can keep 80 to 90% of their materials within the Midwest even. Hi, come on in. Hey, welcome, Erickson. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, well, you're here. You made it. So we've been fine. But now what's happening is everyone who's been dependent on China, which are mostly the coast cities, all the West Coast, they shipped pretty much everything to China. It was just easier. They have the ports. Even though it doesn't seem very close, they're backhauling, we get products in, and they're backhauling our recyclables to China. It's very easy for the West Coast. Even the East Coast was pretty dependent just because, again, the ports are much easier to access. So now it's been a year of freak out, and those markets on the East and West Coast have nowhere to get rid of their stuff, to unload their stuff. Think about Seattle, Portland, San Francisco that have really high mandatory recycling rates that they have to meet. They can't just landfill it. Where's their stuff going to go? Well, it all goes into markets that exist already, which is inside the U.S., domestic markets. So we've been fine, and our markets are here, and they're fine, but all of the materials being flooded into our markets in the Midwest and in the South. So if you're a paper mill, if you're West Rock Paper, this is great for you because now you can actually get money for taking people's paper instead of having to buy a bale of paper from Demcon or whatever for $80 a ton. You actually get to Demcon will pay you $10 a ton to take it, and now you have a cheap access to cheap paper to make your goods. So great for kind of end markets, they're loving it, but really bad for having to get our recyclables into market. So think about it, there are markets, and we've had really good markets. There's just a lot of product, and that's what happens in a supply-demand economy.
So who's on the hook then? Is it the municipalities?
So who's on the hook? Who is paying?
Yeah, who's paying? If we have all of this, LA has all of this, plastics that they have to get rid of. They're going to send it to recycler. The recycler is like, well, I don't really need it because I got plenty. They'll give you something, but it's not much.
It depends on who has the contract. So in cities that have contracts, like say Minneapolis even has a contract with Eureka Recycling, it's written into their contract that if something happens where the markets kind of drop out, it's on the recycler to figure it out. And so they have to take the loss. There's a ton of different contracts, and we can get into contract language, but it's usually written into a contract. In an open hauling system, such as most Dakota County, we don't have that contract. The contract is between you and your company. You don't have that like, okay, well, you're going to keep taking my stuff for this amount forever. No, it's when your contract ends in 3 months, your prices might go up. So it's all about who's paying when. Has anyone gotten the Republic mailer? Anyone have Republic? Yeah. Okay, have you gotten the mailer? No. No, okay. So maybe it was just in some of the communities. So Republic has kind of gotten a lot of flack for this lately, but they sent out a mailer in the last month with a big crisis sign on the front saying, crisis, markets are kind of falling apart, and to alleviate contamination, we're going to be charging you $7 more a month. A month, not a quarter, a month. So we've gotten some calls like, this is the first time I'm hearing about this. How is $7 a month going to improve contamination? So we're going to see some of that happening. And Republic's just going to be the first one out of many where I think recycling costs will go up. But we do have a state mandate and an ordinance in Dakota County that says you can't pay more for recycling than trash. So there is a cap. Like you can't pay more for recycling. But still, people that aren't as dedicated as you, who are trying to save money, aren't going to pay that.
They'll just raise the rates on trash too.
They could. Yeah. They could.
Well, that's good. And isn't it because our contamination has been higher than it really should be?
Yeah. So let me get through these, and I'm going to come back to that. So market instability, West Coast scrambling to find markets. Our markets are being flooded, and that's dropped commodity prices. So those are all happening where prices are being affected. Oh, okay. I will. Someone said, can you please speak up? So I'll repeat your question. So if I don't repeat it, yell at me. Sorry, everyone on the phone. Okay.
So where's China getting their product?
Ooh, good point. Okay, so it's in 2 slides, but I want to answer this right now.
What was the question?
Thank you. Where's China getting their product? They're still making products in China, right? So what's happening in China is the opposite freak out, where end markets are having to buy paper from a paper mill in China. China has a lot of people. They have a lot of recyclables that supply their markets. So what's happening is the material recovery facilities, the MRFs in China, are getting a lot more money for their product because their markets have less paper and less plastics. So their demand is high because their supply is low. The paper mills, or the people actually making the products, are freaking out because they need that influx of paper or plastics, but now they have to pay 5 times as much to get that same bale of paper to make their materials. I'm waiting. I don't know if this will ever happen, but I'm waiting for the prices of products to actually go up. If it's going to stay this way, they can't make cheap products anymore because that end manufacturer is going to have to pass on that cost of higher materials. So all of these ripple effects. So that'll come into some of the outputs that I'll be talking about. Did that make sense, Gary? You looked at me like...
Well, it just seems like the next option is to improve the product that we're selling.
Yes. So that is one of the things that hopefully will happen.
Comment. Make his comment.
Oh, Gary was saying that you would think the next step would be to improve the quality of what we're selling so then they'll buy it. Is that what you're saying? Yes, and that is what's going to have to happen. So we talked about downsides. There are upsides. So when this first happened, recycling educators, we take a little gasp and we're like, we told you so. Like, we've been telling you this for a long time that you need to clean up your act. And so we had a little moment of I told you so. But then we also have to deal with this freak out. So it's bringing everything back to, instead of the last 10, 20 years have been quantity, give me more. Volumes, because we get money from volumes. Recycle everything you can. Put it in the bin, throw it all in, we'll figure it out. And now we're going backwards and talking about quality. And we're going to have to, we have to clean up our act. We being everyone from us consumers to haulers and educating there, to recycling facilities, to end markets, everyone has to clean up. And how do you focus on quality? How do you get people to only throw in the right things? Education. Yes. Also, there's on the back end, so we're all here for education. That's how I can control a situation, hopefully, is education. There's also things that can be done at the recycling center side, but it costs money. So one, you've all been, or most of you have been to a recycling facility, right? And you remember how fast the lines are going? I don't know how they do it. The workers are just going crazy for all their shift. The workers can do a better job if this line slows down. They can pick more out of it. That makes common sense, right? But when you slow down the line, you get more product, you get less product through, so that impacts your prices. So there's one thing. More workers. So more recycling workers at the recycling facilities. That costs money. And right now, even before these market problems existed, they were having recycling facilities couldn't hire workers. Like, there's just not enough people to hire in an economy with very low unemployment rates and for a hard job, even if it pays pretty well. So there's that. Technology. Recycling facilities are actually experimenting with technology where it's actually robotics. DEMCON and Shakopee is one of the first in the nation to start piloting this one robot that can pick out cartons. That's all it does. A robot doesn't need a break. A robot can get it right every time. Now, I'm not saying all jobs should be robots, because I definitely want people to have jobs. But when you can't hire people to do the jobs because it's a really hard job, maybe that's an option we have. Robots also cost money. So there's all of those that cost money, but we're going to have to do it. Someone's going to have to pay that bill. And the other, now we're going up the stream, the other thing we have to work on is creating our domestic markets again. It used to be like the Pollution Control Agency had, maybe, I think it was like 15 years ago, they had like 5 people just working on market development. That's what their jobs were. They were calling people, they were connecting the dots, like, hey, you make glass bottles, let's, hey, come on. You make glass bottles, why don't you connect with this person who needs to, why don't you have a contract with Anchor Glass who makes glass bottles out of recycled glass, and connecting all of those dots. That was a job of several people at the Pollution Control Agency. Now there's one person. Yeah. So that's why we don't have markets as robust as we used to, because people haven't been working on it.
Do you expect that's going to change?
I really hope so. I think.
The question.
Oh, Karen asked, do you think that will change? And I said, I really hope so. Not at the Pollution Control Agency. because I've been asking every time I see them, when are you hiring more people? And it's, I was pointed out too, it's not necessarily even hiring more people, it's reevaluating responsibilities of current staff. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one. Just been meeting someone. Was there another question that I saw?
Are you ready for those responsibilities?
Yeah, that's not my responsibilities. Okay, then I think I have one more after this. Nope. Okay. So final impacts. What actually will happen during this whole time? We have this kind of short-term flux. Something will have to even out. It's an economy. It will fluctuate. We're used to that. So predictions that I've heard, I'm not making this up, many webinars that I've been on lately, one, our quality has to go up. Through all of those things I just said, all parts of the stream, quality has to go up. Standards, Chinese standards will relax. That's what it will be predicted, but nothing like we had before. So they'll relax instead of 0.03% contamination, which is what it is now, which is like a joke, right? It'll come up a little bit. But once they are relaxed, higher standards will be the norm. So how do we adapt to that? So those are what has been predicted.
Will the tariff situation affect that?
I haven't heard it. Well, the question was, will the tariff situation affect any of this? I have been kind of keeping my ear out for that, and I haven't heard anyone mumbling about that yet. Probably.
Probably hasn't occurred to them yet.
Yeah, and maybe it's already in chaos, so they're like, you're good enough. I haven't heard anything yet. Any other questions before we jump into education?
What about manufacturers? Is there work to try to get them to do packaging better? Or
yes. What about manufacturers? Is there work to get them to do better packaging, more recyclable packaging? That's a huge question nationally and even regionally. I was at a very long meeting a few weeks ago where we were talking about that. There's actually materials that we're fighting in the States to not be sold here because there's one, a milk brand that sells this is not a milk. I'm holding up a Tide detergent bottle. If you can't see it online, this is not a milk bottle, but to visualize, it's a milk carton, but it has a plastic wrap around it as they're advertising. So now, if it goes through a recycling facility, the lasers can't read it. It's both junk. Even though it's a beautiful HDPE number 2 bottle, there's no way for the machinery to know that. And all you had to do was print on the bottle or even have a layer at the top where the machine could read it. So yes, there is work nationally working with manufacturers to work with product designers. It's really hard though because they're all about marketing instead of how my product ends. We've also had the flip side where all these products want to slap on my product is recyclable as a good PR feel, pat on the back, and it certainly is not. So we're having the other effect of how do we control that? Is that a government responsibility? Is that a manufacturer responsibility? Grassroots push? So I don't have a great answer for you, but it is a concern. You have a question, Barry? Oh.
Twins 1, 12, 6.
Oh, twins 1, 12, 6. We're good. My husband will be happy. That's great. Any other questions before we move on to this area? Any questions online? They're having their own conversation. It's fine. Yes, Jennifer. Okay. You guys will tell me if. Oh, you can't see it now. Okay, that's fine.
Well, let me just make a comment.
Yeah.
The recycling zone gave me a copy of something that, who's the biggest recycler in the U.S.? Waste Management. That one of their higher ups had written. And I think it's very interesting that when they look at this whole contamination thing, when we had to separate everything, we had better quality, but when we could put it all in one, we had more quantity. So we're kind of...
Yes, if you didn't hear online, when we were separating in a multi-sort system, we had better quality materials, but less volume. And when we went to single sort, we had more quantity, but less quality. That was a huge, as these programs were evolving across the nation, we were all watching, and there were studies going about, will they counteract each other? Will the amount of materials be enough where it's okay to get that extra level of contamination? And for a long time, it was worth it. But I think we started falling into this wish cycling that we know, where then it was too much. People were throwing too much in. And it wasn't just mixing things. Mixing is okay. It's once you're in one cart and not multi-tubs outside, the driver doesn't get out of the truck anymore. It's an arm that empties it from the truck. It's no one can see your stuff, so your neighbors aren't judging your quality of recycling anymore. Totally true.
Unless they're going.
Unless you have me as a neighbor. Yeah. So
I've done that.
there's not just that mixing. It's everything, all the psychology that comes with it too, of hiding, and just you put it in the bin and it goes away and it'll hopefully be made into a new product. There was a question then, I see you, Jennifer asked, because of this China initiative, is that why ProAct stopped taking all those different plastic wraps? No, completely different issue. Good observation, very closely aligned timeline-wise. But ProAct actually was just reevaluating their whole program. They're trying to get their clients into permanent jobs outside of the building instead of in the building and doing things, sorting and whatnot. So just completely different program alignment. Other questions? Okay. I'm just reading comments. Okay, we're good. Going into education then, what can we do? A lot of this will look familiar. Some of these slides didn't exist when we first started the program, so I'm kind of excited to see what happens.
Jennifer, will we be able to get copies of this afterwards?
Yes, so the slides will be available and the recording of everything will be available. And I don't know how yet, but I will get it to you. It'll probably be an email that you can link to. All right, how to prepare materials. You've seen this if you've taken recent classes. I want to reiterate, because these are the major, we'll talk about major contamination first, the big no's, and then we'll go into the yes-no list. So, no more bags forever and ever. Stop putting plastic bags in recycling. It's going to be really hard to get that message across, especially when we're so used to bagging our garbage. It feels really weird to throw things in loose. Yeah. So I think it's also that mentality of just like feeling like you're doing something wrong by throwing things in loose. That's my my very unscientific evaluation. But loose. So now we need to think of it more as a freedom. Like throw it in. It's going to be made into new products. If we bag, paper bags are okay. They're still fine. Big thing, no food or liquid. So things have to be cleaner. And we'll go through what that really means. It's a use your discretion kind of a thing. But think about just trying to get as much liquid and food out of it. One, for plastics, because lasers get messed up if there's food or liquid in the bottle or container. Also for liquid, if you can see on the slide, there's a bottle with liquid in it. What happens is, if you can imagine the recycling facility, and the bottles are going across the line, and there's a laser reading them, and even if it can see that that bottle is a number 1 bottle and it needs to be separated, the separation component mechanism is a puff of air.
Oh, right.
How is it going to move this bottle with some water in it? So it's also just logistics or mechanisms in the recycling facility. Not just because it smells bad, it's because it can't move that bottle.
In the case of recycling at the waste station, what happens to those bags?
Yeah. So the question was, what happens when you're at a waste station and we have X frames and we're used to bagging them in those clear bags, and then we tie up the clear bags and put them in the dumpster. We're starting to evaluate all of our programs, and we might not be able to do that anymore. It might be an empty out the bag kind of situation. We've also worked with some of the haulers, Dick's, Republic, who do a lot of the events, and they understand, if they know that the things will come in bags, clear bags, and they know it's from this event, they can kind of take that in and they know to rip open the bags, but they're starting to ask us to empty the bags. And that goes for all components. We bag everything in our own internal, everything is bagged. So that's not just okay, let's not bag anymore. That's who's going to clean the bins now if there's liquid in the bins. That's our contract with our custodial staff does not say they have to empty bags. Now what do we do? So all these ripple things that have been in place for years, we're going to have to figure out.
The other thing is you're sometimes sending mixed messages because you've got these compostable bags, but they look like plastic bags.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce said that mixed messaging of we have the compostable plastic bags, so then where it's okay to bag those, it's a mixed message between don't bag your recyclables. Yes. I don't have a good answer for that, but it is a mixed message.
I think it needs to be a bigger push to have the no plastic bags and not bag things for your recyclables. Because when I talk to people, I say absolutely no plastic bags. They go, why not? I get that more often than
So the
anything
why.
else. Yeah, or why can't I put those in there? Or why should it not be bagged? And then tell them. They don't know. People really don't know that you're not supposed to put the plastic bags or bag your stuff that goes in your recyclable.
Well, they don't know why.
The why, yeah.
They didn't know to do it.
Right, but the neural thing, I mean, explaining that, I think a lot of light bulbs go on.
Yeah, as soon as I say it, they understand. But I get that so often.
The comments were people don't understand why, or that you shouldn't bag. Like, what's the reason? Why can't I do that?
On the leaf caps and lids,
Yeah.
I get that for the plastic lid. Are we supposed to do anything different if it's a glass jar with a metal lid?
We'll talk about glass more, but yes, we're starting to say, because we used to be just caps on everything, glass jars, we're starting to say take the metal off. It's not a horrible thing. The metal lids will end up with the glass anyways, and hopefully at the glass sorter, there's a magnet that will pick up those metal. But you know what? Let's save a step. And so we're going to talk about metal lids in a second.
One little trick that
We are going to talk about it. Don't spoil it. Don't do it. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And so, but I want that picture in everyone's mind when they hear it. So leave caps on, leave labels on, they're fine. Liquids out. Don't crush anymore. The one kind of exception is metal is pretty okay because the mechanisms that are capturing metal are magnets and eddy currents. And crushing something isn't going to be a big deal for those mechanisms, but I'm not going to tell someone that. So it's more just don't crush.
Gallon jugs or milk?
Crushing a little bit to save a little room, but it should be whole. Like it should have some kind of 3D component to it.
Is that for the machines?
It's for the machines, yep. So if it's flattened completely, it ends up with paper. Because how the machines work, it's just floating along with the paper then. When it has some kind of 3D, it knows to fall through. There's paper milk, that's true. But it's separated differently too. What was I going to say? Oh, and then the lasers need also to be able to read it too, and it's easier to read when it has some kind of structure.
Kim, on leaving the lids on, the one thing I've always been wondering about is the tin cans or aluminum or whatever cans, that you take your, I have a can opener, thank you, yes. This can opener, and I used to leave it in the bottom.
We'll talk about it, Linda.
Oh, all right.
Okay, just cut you off.
Get it out, but
I know exactly what you're meaning, and we will talk about it. Okay, so now we're there. All right, so the biggest no's across the board, what we've been hearing across the nation, these are the big no's, headaches. Plastic bags, completely do not put plastic bags in there. And we know the reason, you can picture it because you've been to the recycling facility. This image, though, on this slide is what happens. And then you can tell people it takes 2 hours every day for some person to have to cut all those bags out. And the reason isn't what you think it is. The reason isn't because the machines stop working, because they can't rotate anymore. It's actually because this screen that you can see here has holes of a certain size where things drop through. That's the whole point of it, where paper goes up and things drop down. Well, if you have it clogged with bags, things can't drop down anymore, so everything goes up. So that's actually the reason. That's just for you to know. You don't have to describe that to people. But that's why they have to cut them out. Okay, plastic bags, tanglers, same reason. Tanglers are actually worse where it can cause equipment failures where it could stop the whole facility. And if you've seen it at MRFs, they always have kind of the pile of examples, chains, hoses, cords. It's just insane what people throw in their recycling, right? But tanglers are very important because they can actually wrap around machines. Batteries, all batteries, none of them should go in. And this is also one of those mixed messages where we say, recycle your batteries. So it's really hard to tell people at a drop-off facility. Yes. So we are starting to say, like, bring your batteries instead of just recycle batteries because everyone just throws it all in. What's problem here, what the problem is actually lithium batteries. Lithium-ion batteries are causing fires. There's a fire that just happened it's one of DEMCON's transfer stations more north. The battery, there was a lithium-ion battery at their transfer station, which is just, where trash goes to sit and then gets carpooled to a landfill. A lithium-ion battery caught fire, and I'm sure there were paper and things to catch fire at the transfer station. It was 15 minutes after they had left. Yeah, so the whole place burned down.
Oh, no.
And so now they have to rebuild. At a recycling facility, most facilities are 24 hours or about that, so they catch fires. Like they can not catch fire. They can see the fires and stop it, and everything's okay. But fires happen all the time at recycling facilities because of lithium-ion batteries. So it's starting to become a really big issue, because as lithium-ion batteries and other batteries get smaller and smaller, they actually are becoming less able to adapt to the environment, and so they start on fire much more easily. Very scary. That's why you can't bring loose lithium-ion batteries on planes anymore. Diapers. We're seeing way more diapers. One of the theories, I don't really buy this, but one of the theories is because it's coming in a box, a cardboard box that says please recycle. I'm like, I don't know about that. Yeah. It's made out of plastic? I don't know.
Is any effort made to contact the diaper manufacturers and say, please change the wording on your box?
The question was, has anyone contacted the diaper manufacturers to change the wording on the box? I like the wording on the box, but it should say recyclable cardboard. I don't have an answer for that specifically.
Well, similar to the big problem with flushable wipes now, that everybody
Yeah.
they say that on the box.
Yeah, flushable wipes, whole different hour webinar on that I can tell you about of the lawsuits happening for flushable wipes because they're not flushable and they're clogging sewer systems, and you as a resident are having to pay for that now. And they're made of plastic, so that's in our water.
I just started to see on frozen dinners, and a lot of the moderately high-end ones now all have signs for recycled cardboard box, big X in front of recycling the plastic container that the food actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a new logo. I wasn't gonna talk a lot about it. It's the How to Recycle logo.
Repeat the question. Repeat the question.
The question, Linda was saying, like, you've been seeing more different logos of different parts of the material, like the box is recyclable.
Pictographs.
Yep. And that's the How to Recycle logo, which is right here. And I'm sorry you can't see it online, but I'm sure you've seen it where it's a square and it always has a recycling symbol in it, a descriptive of what it is, and then what to do with it. And these are great. You can go to howtorecycle.info and learn more information about it. They're completely voluntary. They're industry pushed, backed. So a lot of the big wigs, Pepsi, Target, and stuff that make products, they're using them, which is great. We're not very confident on how they're getting the message. Like, there is kind of a graph if you go on here, like, okay, if 50% of all recyclers in the U.S. accept this, we'll put the logo on. Or if 75% or less than that, we'll say check with your hauler. Well, that doesn't help. So we're starting to look at this regionally of like, do we promote the how to recycle? What do we do with this? Have you seen this before? Aldi does? The last one is food and liquid. For obvious reasons, can't be recycled, contaminates everything else, so it makes all the other materials lower value.
Besides, it should be composted.
Of course it should be composted. Of course. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now we're going through. Okay, so someone asked, can you leave a bit of soda in the bottom of an aluminum can, or should it be rinsed? The optimal option is to give it a quick rinse to get everything out of there. If you're outside and you've shaken it out and you've gotten as much as you can out, that's fine. Like, it's understandable. Okay, now we're going through the yes/no list. So, I'm sorry online, you won't get to see everything. Can you online see the video too? Can you see me with the slides? I'm waiting for you to answer.
You're shaking your head.
Don't shake your head, I can't see it. Okay, there's no one typing. Okay, because I'll have examples that we're going to look at too.
Very
Very
tiny.
tiny.
Okay. All right, let's see what we can do. I think you can, in your screen, you can also blow me up. You're very frustrated. So if you click on, thank you, Barb. If you click on your the video, you should be able to expand me in some way. But at least you can see a little bit. Okay, paper. Paper, we know from the 2013 waste composition study, paper is still the largest item in our trash that could be recycled by weight. Cardboard is the number one. We're still throwing a lot of cardboard away. We're going to start messaging more to residents of recycling cardboard in this shipping age, because cardboard is one of the best to be recycled. We have a lot of domestic markets for it. When I say cardboard, I mean corrugated cardboard. Corrugated cardboard is the 2 sheets of paper with the wavy line in the middle. That's corrugated cardboard. We have a lot of domestic markets for this, and we're still throwing a lot away. And we are getting a lot more of this made because of shipping, the Amazon effect. The problem we're seeing with cardboard, I don't know why that's there. Okay. The problem we're seeing with cardboard is that no one's breaking it down. And that wouldn't be such a big deal, except when you break things down, you can guarantee that you've emptied it. So what's happening is, great, I got my new thing, my new gadget from Amazon. I'm gonna throw my box in the recycling. I feel really good. Well, what's in boxes? Everything we can't recycle. So I shouldn't say that, but styrofoam, bubble wrap, peanuts, even like this stuff that I've been seeing more of, and maybe you can see it online. It's weird molded thing. Preform, yeah.
Why can't you recycle that?
It's not that you can, I'm just saying that it's in there. So all of this is in there. So when we are trying to encourage breaking down, and it's just smart, like one box would take up your whole cart. I don't understand. Yes.
What if cardboard is dirty?
When cardboard is dirty, it's a use your discretion. If it was left outside and it rained and it's just breaking down as you speak, throw it away. If it's dirty a little bit, like if it has a lot of food on it, throw it away. If it has oil or paint on it, throw it away. We do want clean cardboard, but there's some things that, if most of it's clean, it's okay.
Can it be composted?
Can it be composted? Depends on what it is. Yes, in general, paper can be composted. Paper or cardboard that has paint on it, I wouldn't compost. Tape, yes. So tape, you can. We were just asking the paper mill this actually on our last tour of the paper mill, and they can handle tape at the paper mill at West Rock. They have a whole mechanism to get the paper out. They would love less of it because they just have to throw it away. So this tape, any of the stuff on it, is going to be trash. So if you can, yeah, throw it away. Take it off. It's not going to be the worst thing ever, but it'll improve the quality.
You got a question?
Yes. Why no receipts? Well, don't jump ahead, Barb. No, I'm just kidding. So, all paper. Now, all of the paper. Okay, all paper can be recycled. So what I want to mention for contamination rates is we actually in Minnesota have very low contamination rates. So we're freaking out about all this contamination across the nation. And I have to step back and say, actually, we're some of the best recyclers. We have the 15% rule in Minnesota. By law, recyclers can't go over 15% of trash in their recycling or they get taxed. Remember that 85-15 rule? So that really has an incentive to keep your trash low and do more education. We're really good. Even as we're creeping up to that 50%, 15%, we're very good. If you look at other states, especially states that have mandatory recycling, everyone has to recycle, they're in the 30s or more contamination rate. So those are the cities that should be doing a lot more education. So when I say we need to concentrate on increasing education and decreasing bad stuff in our recycling, we're doing a very good job.
Question on cardboard boxes.
Yes.
How about toothpaste boxes that kind of have that foil?
Oh, yeah.
Silver stuff, is that recyclable?
Yeah, I would Crest has kind of that foily. I would say it's okay. It's not a huge part of the string too, so it'll be okay. And I say that more. Oh, the question was, what about boxes like toothpaste boxes that have kind of the foil marketing look on them, like Crest? And I said yes, you can. It's pretty okay. And it's not that that's across the board foil is okay. It's that we know where it's going and the paper mills can figure it out.
And what about that film, that substance on some of that cardboard? And maybe it's on the TV dinners or frozen meal kinds of stuff.
So you'll notice, oh no! My, this isn't an updated slide. So, I had an updated slide, apparently. So actually all these things that were in the maybes, we've now just moved to the yeses.
Oh, egg cartons are okay?
Yes. And I will tell you why. It's kind of counterintuitive because we're talking about decontamination, right? And so I really am hesitant on saying, let's add more stuff to it. But we just went through with all the haulers and MRC, and they're okay with this.
Okay.
Yes. So the key for pizza boxes, clean. So if this pizza box in the picture was one that I was looking at, I would not do the bottom of the pizza box. First of all, I'd have a piece of pizza in it. Eat it. But it's very greasy.
Or compost.
Compost.
Compost it, yes. I would eat it. I can't throw pizza away. But yes, I can say that. Yes, you can compost the bottom. Yes. Yes. So remember, and this is all your classes. It's always been on the maybes list of the refrigerated and freezer boxes, and that was because of the wet strength. It was what makes it the paper more durable if the product got wet, like in the freezer, because you have more of a chance of thawing. But that's becoming less and less of an issue. Yes. We just redid the hauler list that I'll be passing around, and I'll put this in your when I send out the PowerPoint too. We now asked all the haulers if they accept these items, and now only 2 haulers say no on frozen food boxes, and 2 say no on refrigerated boxes out of 15. So that's kind of our threshold of saying yes to everything. Because those haulers also say they don't take basic things. We're not going to take.
Who are they? I want to know. Who are the 2?
Aspen and Triangle. Yeah, smaller. Yep, smaller. And we know because we've worked with the MRFs too, the MRFs are actually okay with it, and they're the ones that I trust more. So yeah.
What's a refrigerated box?
That's like this box. There's really only two I can think of. My boss just asked me this today, like, what do you mean exactly? Pop boxes and beer cases.
Oh.
I actually can't think of any others. Yes.
So with the paper towel and toilet paper rolls, is it better practice to compost them?
And with egg cartons too, right? So egg cartons and TP and toilet paper rolls, we've been debating what's the best use, recycling or compost. We know it's very low grade paper. It's not a contamination, but it's very low grade paper where it's like, is it really even worth it? Should we just compost it? We have made the decision, recycle first, always, then compost.
If you have a lot of egg cartons, Neighbors Inc. buys eggs in big containers, and they always need smaller containers to give them to families. So if you happen to have a lot of egg containers and you don't want to recycle them or throw them away, Neighbors Inc. would happily take them.
Reuse first.
Reuse.
Definitely at the top. Yes, thank you. And other food shops too.
Yes.
If you have a lot of egg cartons, the even better option is to reuse them and take them to the food shelves, who actually get bulk eggs, and they have to divvy them up into manageable sizes for the people who come to the food shelf. Yes.
If a paper towel has been wiped something up, or if it's used, it still can go through the recycling.
No, this is just the toilet paper rolls.
It's the inside.
It's not the roll.
I was going to ask that.
Yes. The tube. So actually going back. We're going to the nose. Okay. So now, Barb, I'll answer your question.
Oh, she says food shelf uses plastic bags.
Yes, plastic bag. Yeah, food shelves and a lot of other Goodwill. Yeah, they'll take them too. Okay, so the nose, receipt paper, because of the BPA issue. BPA is in everything, it seems like. And there are certain receipt papers that aren't BPA. It's the thermal paper, the flimsy paper that, like, if it sits in your car, it like disintegrates. That's BPA lined paper. And if you touch it, it has some residue of BPA. It's not going to harm you necessarily because you're barely in contact with it. I'm actually more concerned about workers having to touch it for 8 hours a day at a grocery store. There are like normal receipt paper, like that we grew up with, that's just paper that feels sturdier. That can be recycled.
Dot matrix printed.
Yeah, dot matrix printed with the sound, that can be recycled, but I'm not going to differentiate that in the public, so we just are saying no receipts.
But for us,
yeah.
If you have a receipt like from a, let's say, nice clothing store or something like that, that probably is just going to be paper.
Nope. That's probably, almost all retailers are using thermal paper. It's actually more of the like mom and pop shops that are using the older paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the adding machine.
Like adding machine paper. Yep, it's thicker.
If you run a coin over it into colors, then
there you go.
So it colors, then you're going to regular paper.
Good to know.
But if you do the test.
So any kind of, it could be a copper penny and there's still
Yeah.
copper penny.
The comment was if you take a penny or a coin and rub it over a receipt, it'll make a streak in it if it is BPA paper.
Oh, like it's old Xerox copy paper.
Okay, shredded paper, I'm going to get to in a second. Plates and cups, the reason why is usually there's food on them. Honestly, if you had a very pristine, clean paper cup or plate, it probably could be recycled. But the MRFs say they don't want them because then you just open up the slippery slope of contamination. So we're just, first of all, use it if you have it, and then we'll throw it away. And of course, reusable plates are even better, and compostable even better than that.
You cannot compost those in.
No, so that's changed a lot since in the last 2 years. So if you took like your class was probably one of the last classes where we were saying compost these, you can see online, it's just like a normal party plate, or just the cheap plates that you get like 1,000 for $1. Those are all lined with plastic, we're finding out. And even if we're not sure if they're lined with plastic, we're assuming they're lined with plastic. The only exception are ones that are BPI certified. And in the stores that you'll see, that's Chinette mostly, or some other little brands. So yes, trash these, and cups. Napkins and tissues, again, compost them definitely. Don't put them in the recycling at all. That's one of the biggest headaches is, well, it's paper, can't we recycle it? No, it's very low quality paper. It's like the end of the life. Tissue is like the grand finale of a paper's life. Yeah, that you use when you're sick. You can, it's dying for you. You can compost them though. And again, that's a slippery slope too. Just, it's gonna be used to clean up things, to blow your nose, to use with food. I'm going to go to shredded paper, but any questions here?
What about an oatmeal box?
Yes, oatmeal box. Oh, you mean the cans? Yes. So, I don't have one. Yes, those are called cardboard cans. And I don't have an example yet. I have one at home I need to save. A cardboard can is recyclable, but not for the paper. It's actually the metal that's on the bottom is why it's so wanted. Yes. So yes, you can throw it in, but not for the reasons that you're thinking.
They don't have metal on them.
If it doesn't have, if it's paper on the bottom, I probably wouldn't throw it in the recycling.
Compost it?
Like a paper plate.
Yeah, it has plastic. I would throw it away.
And a lot of them have plastic tops.
There's plastic tops too. Yeah. So the ones that have metal on the bottom, Pringles. That's all I can think of right now. The metal is what they want.
Drinking glasses with the emblem on your still okay.
Glass or plastic?
No, plastic.
We'll get to the plastics in a second.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is just paper. Yep. I'm going to the next slide. So shredded paper. Okay, shredded paper. Here's what we're saying officially. No more shredded paper in the recycling bin. Most haulers will still tell you to put it in there. And actually, this is a regional issue where I'm actually leading a group that's analyzing shredded paper and what we're telling the public. We're regionally. What are we saying? And also, is it true that MRFs don't want it, or is it just the two squeaky wheel MRFs that we're hearing from? Like, is it an actual issue? What we're hearing is yes. So even before that, we're just going to jump to it and just say shredded paper it's very unlikely to get recycled if it goes into your recycling cart. That's it. Like it's just not going to get recycled, and it might cause a mess at the MRF. So instead, this is our list of what you should do. Shred only what's necessary. It is amazing how little you have that has your confidential information on it now. Now, some people are slightly more concerned than I am. I'm of the mind if you've ever had a job, you get mail, you have a credit card, you're more likely to be hacked online than anything that's in your mailbox. So that's where I am. So take off, if you're concerned though, take off the part that has your information, any information on it. Tear it up and throw it away. And then recycle the whole pieces of paper. Then use permanent retail drop-off sites. And we have all the list in the Green Guide directory that we have online now. It's pretty much, and it's on, I'm sure you all got this in the mail, but there's some back there too. I'm looking at online, for the online folks, I'm looking at the Home Recycling Guide. And it has the confidential paper drop-offs. So you're not taking shredded paper to these companies. It's to get your paper shredded. Staples, Office Max, FedEx, those kinds of places. It might cost a few dollars, but it'll get recycled because it completely bypasses the MRF and goes right to the paper mill, and it still gets shredded.
I found two places that will let you come in and use their big bin for shredding.
Great.
One in South Park, Nicollet,
Great.
Down in Lakeville, and the other one is Truestone Financial. You can just say.
I thought that was for members only. Is it?
Oh, no problem.
Okay. But you could check with your bank. A lot of banks do offer that for your member, or you as a member.
You just put your stuff in with their shredding.
Yes. Which is great. Love it. Yes, Truestone. I'm at Firefly. They do the same thing. We don't advertise those ones because I haven't checked with every bank, but you could check with your bank and see.
If it's not a super huge quantity.
Yes, exactly. And before it gets to the huge quantity, take in a little at a time. Use annual shredding events. So it is now mandatory with every city in Dakota County has to offer at least one shredding event free of charge to the public, shredding on site. We also give money to the cities to do that. So we are encouraging them. You as a resident could go to any of them. So we list all of them on the Green Guide. So you can go to any. There's about 5 coming up in the fall. They're usually in the spring and the fall. It's the clean out season.
Now, we can go to any of them because it does, I have seen it say West St. Paul residents.
Yeah, they don't check.
Okay. Because I wanted to go to that one, but I thought, I don't live in West St. Paul.
Yeah. A lot of them don't. I don't think any of them check. And even if they did, they've told me we won't turn people away.
You can be an honorary West St. Paul resident.
Yes, you can. There are some that are very specific. If it's a part of a cleanup day for that city, they might be more inclined to turn you away. Like, I know Rosemont had a shredding event. That was a part of their annual cleanup day. And I can't say for sure if they checked IDs or not. So then, using shredding events, so the one that I had to add, which is why this is red, because it reminded me to add it, which I did on a different slide that you will never see. Before you compost it, the next part is you can actually bring in your shredded paper in a paper bag to the recycling zone. It's the only drop-off in Dakota County where you can bring your already shredded paper to. And that's because we don't mix our materials. All the paper stays together and goes right to the paper mill. So if you love shredding, my supervisor's husband loves shredding, and she can't get him to stop. So this is her option. It's therapeutic, apparently. Yes. And Sandra said the shredded paper works in vermicompost as well. So vermicomposting or composting is our last resort only because paper could have a higher use, and we want it to have that higher use, and because we're finding more and more that there's things in paper that we might not want in our soil. So stay tuned for that. But
the top question there,
I answered it.
the paper egg cartons being in the life.
Oh, you answered it. Oh, look at you. Karen is like.
Well, I know what end of life is, but I thought the paper egg cartons, you couldn't recycle them because they were dead when they were made.
Pretty much.
So I've been telling my wife since I took that class, don't put those things in the recycle bin.
What do you do with them?
Put them in the trash.
Okay. What will happen is like 50% of the fiber will actually go through to make new fiber, more paper.
Like that stuff
too.
I just
It's
threw away
very
not out of the
low.
box.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I hate saying, honestly, to put it in the recycling because it is such low quality. It's more of it's not a contaminant, and you can put it in, and it's going to be okay, but it's really not worth anything.
I trashed it, dear. I trashed it.
Can that one be composted?
Yeah, you could compost this. I haven't seen this. This is someone gave me this, so I haven't seen it myself. But it was a huge thing that I guess electronics came in.
What about the clear plastic egg cartons?
So what about clear plastic egg cartons? Yes, you can recycle them. We don't list them specifically, but yes.
Not the styrofoam.
Not styrofoam, definitely not styrofoam. Okay, any questions about shredded paper as we move on? We have 20 minutes. All right, milk cartons. Pretty easy. I think we're all on board with milk cartons. Give it a little rinse. Caps on still, although I haven't been told exactly if the caps get recycled, but we're just going to say caps on. It's not a...
Don't crush.
Don't
a
crush.
half-gallon milk, a half-gallon paper.
I mean, if you need a little space, you can like crush it a little bit, but don't flatten it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I've been.
Aww. If you need that, you go for it.
Do that and then blow it up again.
Yeah, right.
Can it be lined,
I'll bring mine
some
over
of them are
too.
lined with foil.
Yes, so cartons are they're aseptic and septic containers. So they're all plastic, paper, plastic, and that's the layers. Aseptic, I always get them mixed up. There's one that is lined with foil, like that's what it does. I think that's more shelf stable. Yes, and that's because the Carton Council worked with manufacturers across the nation to figure out how to separate them. It doesn't go to the paper mill, it goes somewhere else.
Oh.
And they take that apart. The metal and the plastic on these cartons gets trashed.
So you're telling us both
So
are
we-
okay.
So both are okay now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all cartons.
Okay.
Straws take off, caps keep on. Any questions there? Okay. That's an easy one. All right. Metal, another easy one, you would think. So now we can talk about lids. Food and beverage container, metal, across the board. One thing that we have updated on our sheets that you'll get, and I can just start passing this around too, we have been listing under metal aerosol cans and metal scrap. We're just going to take off that column and we're just saying no. Because scrap metal, first of all, what does that mean? Is it your aluminum siding that you can put in there? Maybe. Is it nails? Well, that's a safety issue. So we're just saying, we're taking off these columns and saying drop off scrap metal, recycling zone or otherwise. And then aerosol cans, even though half our haulers, you can see on this, are saying they're fine. It's great, beautiful steel. It's a safety issue. So I don't know why they're still accepting them. But that can be brought to the recycling zone.
Empty aerosol to recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were told.
Yeah.
But covers to glass jars.
Yes. So, you mean the caps?
Yeah.
Yeah. So caps. Caps, beer bottle, if you're a beer drinker, I have these, a lot of them now. Oh my God. This is how old this is. Okay. So, caps, loose caps, or the lid that you went all the way around when you were opening it, and because you just kept going, and I try to now leave mine on, but sometimes it happens. Put them all in there and pinch it shut. And that's what you were going to say, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Aluminum foil.
Aluminum foil is my updated thing that is not there. Is aluminum foil? We're saying question mark maybe because of the clean issue. So if it's clean aluminum foil, it's then more of a size, and so we're saying you can ball it up like a snowball, all your aluminum foil, and it'll get through the recycling facility. But it's really a cleanliness issue.
So if it's clean, make it a snowball.
Yep.
Actually, if it's clean, use it in your dryer instead of a dryer.
There you go. Oh. Karen says use your aluminum ball in your dryer instead of dryer sheets.
I have a question about the can covers that you open up with a can opener.
Yep.
I have lots of cat food cans. Now, should I try to leave part of the cover on cat?
If you can, I do that. I have cats too. If you can leave it on, it's just easier. It'll stay with it. If you can't, just have keep an extra can around and throw your loose lids in it. Like I have this sitting on my countertop. And if you can't see, I just have a tin can sitting on my countertop where all my beer caps go. And it's just there until it fills up.
So both steel and aluminum?
Yes, it's okay.
But we can also take that sort of thing to the recycling.
Definitely, yep, you can.
We just keep a big bin in our basement.
Yep, all your scrap, loose metal, you can take to the recycling zone.
And I'm sorry, I didn't catch, why would you pinch it shut?
Because if you don't, they'll fall out. So this keeps it all together. And it travels together all the way to the recycling zone. I didn't pinch this very well because I have to reuse it, but yeah, that's all. It just keeps together and they'll end up at the metal smelter and get made into new product.
Is it too small?
Yes. So it's the size. That's why it'll end up in the glass. It'll all the caps, anything loose that's less than 2 inches by 2 inches will fall through the cracks with the glass at the MRF. That's why we want to keep them together. So if it's a larger lid, like if you have a lid this size, you don't have to put that in a can. That'll travel and be fine. Okay. So here's glass.
Okay, what about aluminum
Pie tins, like you get.
So yes, so foil and pie tins, clean is fine. Yes, it can be recycled. It's just getting into that, like, make sure it's clean. Yep. So Chipotle. So like Karen had her Chipotle dinner, which is great. It's not that dirty. Rinse it out a little bit. Take a napkin, wipe it out. It'd be perfectly fine. And here, if you want to see it online.
And that can go curbside?
Yep.
That has to go to recycling?
Nope.
It can go curbside? Okay.
Yep. It can go curbside. The sheet I'm passing around to that you have, Gary, everything yellow is our changes. So that's why I highlighted them, so you can see what actually changed.
And you're going to send that out?
Yes. Yep. Okay. Glass. Pretty easy. We're saying caps off for glass. Honestly, if the caps stay on, it's not the end of the world. It will end up with the glass. It'll go to the glass sorter. They also have a magnet that can be taken off, but we're helping out the MRF in separating them. Drinking glasses, dishes, mirrors, all that durable glass, again, it's because it's made of different ingredients. It'll melt differently at different temperatures, and so it'll mess up. If a piece of a mirror gets in with anchor glass to make a Snapple bottle, it'll have a pebble. It'll look like a pebble because it never melted with the other glass because it has to be heated up more. So yes, we don't want that.
Same with frame glass.
Any durable glass.
So we need to take the metal lids off of glass jars. Can they be put in with your other one?
Yeah, that's what I was demonstrating. This was from, sorry, I didn't show you. It was from a jelly jar.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So that's why now I keep one out for all my loose metal lids.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, I think we answered that one. Okay. Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, Jennifer online, I answered your question. Okay, plastic. So we're going to spend the last 10 minutes just going through plastic. All right, so we're still saying no numbers. That may be changing in the next year or so. You'll be the first to know. We're looking at it regionally if we need to go back to numbers. I even look at numbers, but first I always look at what it is, and then I look at a number, especially for those weird items like cups that I hate. You know how much I hate cups. So first, let's start with the easy stuff. Any jugs, anything with a neck. Remember when we used to educate on bottles with a neck? Like late 90s, early noughts, like anything with a neck is great. Keep the caps on, give it a rinse. You're never gonna get your Tide detergent completely clean.
See, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be okay though. Try to get as much out as possible.
They actually say that leaving a little bit in the bottom actually helps clean the plastic.
Oh, I've heard that.
Rinsing all the soap and detergents out, don't leave it in there, it helps clean the plastic during the process.
I have heard that, yeah. So we have a Maxwell House coffee container. That's fine. We call that more of a jug. So first I would know what it is, but if you need to look, it's made out of the same material as jugs. Is it a number 2?
It is.
It is. So it's a durable, thicker plastic. That's okay.
I just didn't think this was a neck, so.
Oh, what?
I didn't know that this would qualify as having a neck.
I wouldn't count that as a neck either.
Yeah, oh.
But we count it as like a tub, kind of a.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that when I say a neck, those are definites, and that I would not count as a neck. You're right. Okay. So then, all right. So we have Mountain Dew. Has a neck. Those are all great. Then we go into it is crushed. That I grabbed it out of our recycling at the office. So. So here's a crushed one. This actually isn't that bad. This is probably okay. It has a little air out of it. It's still 3D. It's okay. This is probably okay. I would be fine with this. Okay, so then we have the other containers that are questionable. We know all number 5s are okay. So that's a number. What that means are tubs. So my yogurt tub here, cottage cheese tubs, those are all number 5s. There are sneaky number 5s. Is that a number 5? Perfect. Which is why we don't use numbers. Yes. So there's 2 problems with this. One, and if you see, it's a rotisserie chicken, I imagine. So this is black. We don't like black plastics across the board. MRFs don't want them because they can't sell black plastics because end markets can't dye this any color. It's already black. So there's no market for it. Maybe that'll change. But right now, black plastics are a no across the board. This is a little different. This maybe, but I don't see a number on it. And if it takes me more than 2 seconds to even know, I throw it out now. When in doubt, throw it out. I'd rather lose this one little bit of plastic than create a crisis across the world.
So what about
that was, as you see it, cut the color off, and then you put the clear in the recycling and discard the black.
Yeah, and
But it doesn't have a number.
And so I'm trying to preach when in doubt, throw it out. Yep. Because of how bad the crisis is right now of our material. So we're pretty good recyclers still. It probably still would be fine under the 15%. There's not going to be a ton of these lids. We'd be fine, but I don't actually think it would be recycled. That's kind of what our goal is, right?
Or some of those sixes.
Some of them, yeah. Okay, clamshells, all your berry containers, they're fine. They're usually number 1, but that's why we always just say clamshells. Produce and deli containers, yes. The only issue with them is food. So if you went out to lunch and you had stuff that got all over your deli container, if you can't clean that because you're out and about, I would throw it away. It's not worth recycling because of that contamination.
What about this one? It has a plastic on the top.
Yeah. Thank you. So.
I like it because it's Minnesota grown.
Oh, that is nice. You can tell them. I'm a Minnesotan person, and I would love you to not use this anymore. So the bottom, let's see, is a number 1. So I think it'd be fine to throw this in the recycling, and this definitely goes in the trash.
Yeah, there's still plastic around the edge.
Like this?
Yeah.
If you can get it all off.
You can't really do that.
Really? So I would write them and say this is very annoying because I'm trying to recycle. But that would it would still be okay. I would think so.
What about the covers to the yogurt containers?
Yes. So the foil covers.
Well, no, just the plastic ones.
Like this?
Like cottage cheese.
Oh.
Or the big tubs.
Yes. And actually, so yes, caps on everything. This cap or this lid would probably make it on its own anyways because it's big enough. It's the little caps the more screw-on ones that would fall through the cracks. This lid is big enough to make it on its own, but we try to keep it together anyway.
And a lot of times they have those plastic covers between the...
That definitely is trash. Yeah, like I bought this and it had a metal cover when I first opened it. All those safety seals go in the trash. So I saved this. You can see online. We are throwing out all of those covers that come with all of our puddings, yogurt, whatever. But the cup is okay. And we want to give it a little rinse to make sure that it is cleaner.
Not all yogurt cups are recyclable. There are
Correct.
some. There's like that
Dan.
FAGE brand, whatever.
The Baji. I don't know what that is one actually.
It's not a one to
Okay. Yeah, I would throw it away. There's also Dannon. Anything that breaks apart that's like a snap pack are usually made out of a different material. And we say all cups to be clear, but those will not get recycled. They won't be made into something new. Pill bottles, yes, I have that. You want to do yours first?
Number 6.
Yes. So all number 6s we just know are trash. This is cookies, crackers. Yep, if they're in here, those are always. I haven't found one that is recyclable. Pill bottles. The issue with pill bottles isn't the type of plastic; it's the size. So this is like a tiny one. This was from me. This is questionable, and here you can see it online. It might be too small. That's the reason why I might not recycle this.
This would be too small.
This would be, yes. This is a little like chapstick container. I think this would be too small. I don't know where the camera is. There we go. So I would throw that away. Bigger pill bottles, Advil bottles, like bigger ones are fine. It's great plastic.
So
Like my mom in Iowa can't recycle their lids, they have to take their lids off. So mom collects all their lids and sends them back with me.
Yes, of course.
So I put them in like a peanut butter jar or whatever and put a lid on them. You know, like
Yes.
screw the lid on it so they can't get out.
So technically, because it's similar to like the metal, the question was, can you put lids into, like plastic lids into a plastic bottle and hopefully it would get recycled? The issue is how it gets sorted at the MRF. And when you put more lids in, it weighs it down and it can't get separated. So it will end up in the garbage. Yes, unfortunately. I know, that's
So
sad.
what would you do with them with pill bottles? Because it wouldn't make it that much heavier, but
You could probably
put them
try.
in something and
You could probably try. I wouldn't because it's probably made out of a different material than something that would be big enough to even put it in.
okay.
Aren't there places to reuse pill bottles?
Yes, and so I was going to look that up for you. There, someone asked that in the Hennepin Facebook chat too, like medical programs for Africa and ways to reuse. I don't have that off the top of my head.
There's a church, one of the churches in Rutgers does that. It's been on the Facebook.
Okay, so maybe it was the Dakota
It's
Center.
been on
Great.
Facebook.
Perfect. I'll go back and
They're
look.
having to drive, they'll throw it on there, so.
Oh, good. Yeah, please. And then I can put it in the e-news too if you
I don't know which one
if you
it is,
see it
but
though.
I'll see it.
Tell me.
I'll look for it.
What other? I saw some other plastic examples, maybe.
Like an envelope of this.
Okay. Yes. Oh, good. Okay. We'll do this one first. Thank you. So this counts as film. This is a frozen food bag. So this is trash. So anything that was in the freezer that's stretchy like this is trash. They just don't want it when they're making products, when they're taking plastic bags and other film. They don't want it.
Okay, so it can't go like to the Target bag recycle.
Nope. So for the plastic bags, and that goes into, you want to have yours, Sherry? Yeah. Excuse me. What we've been using since now Proact is out of the business, and we have to rely on Hub Foods and other locations that take plastic bags. I look at the list that's on plasticfilmrecycling.org. So I'm getting my information from there. What we're having issues with is that they're not always checking with the locations they list on their website. And we're trying to get a hold of like Cub Foods in Apple Valley, where do you take your stuff? They backhaul it to a warehouse, but then we can't get farther than that. So we're investigating that regionally. But that's the list I use, is the national, and that's a national plastic film industry. Plasticfilmrecycling.org. Or if you Google them too, plastic film recycling, it'll come up. So they'll take, the yeses for that are,
Packaging. That white stuff under your arm.
I'll get to it. I'm doing the easy stuff first. So anything that's stretchy and clear like this, stretchy and clear is yes. We love this.
Both ways.
Stretchy both ways.
Even with the label on.
Yeah, it's fine. This is two materials. You can see, well, it's easier to feel it. This is a paper envelope with plastic bubble wrap. This is trash. Yes. Now, Amazon has been doing this more, where it's actually a plastic envelope with plastic bubble wrap. This is okay. This can be dropped off with your plastic bags. They say, I don't know why really, but they say on their how to recycle label, remove paper label before recycling. Good luck. It's a label. It's really hard to get off, but you can try. So no's for the frozen food bags. These, I'm questioning these, and I can't remember what they say online. It's that like foamy material for packaging. I would trash it. But I would also reuse it, of course, but I wouldn't recycle it. Then I thought I had some other film. Anything you get inside, like any of these, like this was, you caught me, I ate Klondike Mrs. Field sandwiches, ice cream sandwiches. Well, this was around one of the sandwiches. All of this, like food packaging, trash. Here we go. Here's another envelope. This is a plastic envelope with plastic bubble wrap. This is okay. This can be recycled. We've also now seen one. It's a paper envelope with paper fill in it. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That can be recycled. The fill honestly is not going to be worth anything, but it's not a contaminant. This food packaging, like paper, this is, I think, from a chip bag or a cracker bag that was in a box, like it was in this wheat thin box, for instance. Wheat thin box, good. This bag, trash. Can't go with the plastic bags, can't be recycled. And
if that was the old-fashioned wax paper type thing.
Like if it's that thicker,
Like a cereal.
Like a cereal.
Yeah. If you can get it clean, yes. If you can,
inside of a cereal box.
Yep. If you can get all the crumbs out. Plastic bags have to be very, very clean and can't take all the contamination that other things might be able to take. But yes, you can. Cereal box liners.
This is the
Cellophane.
greeting card.
Yes. So cellophane like this. Greeting cards come in, just clear. I would throw this away. Yes.
Shipping envelopes that are black on the inside and white on the outside.
Yes, those are okay. They're okay to go in your drop off with your plastic bags. Like the kind of white gray on the outside and kind of black gray on the inside.
Better repeat
So it's the shipping bags that are black, gray, dark on the inside and white, grayish on the outside. Those are okay to put with your plastic bags.
Plant pots.
Plant pots. Let me go to the next one. Thanks for the prompts.
Thank Barb.
Thanks. Okay, the nose plastic bags. But what do? We drop them off. Yes. Definitely not in your curbside recycling. No styrofoam. There is a place in Coon Rapids, the Coon Rapids Recycling Center, that takes blocks of styrofoam. They check your ID. That's what I've been told. Residential. Yep. So all those blocks and whatnot. So no place around here. Microwavable trays, more because it's black. I've been seeing more clearish, white ones. Questionable, and I would throw it out right now until we know for sure. Tubes. Oh, this was in my purse. Let me get it. I've been seeing more of these lately, where it's this squeezable tube. This is actually usually a number 4 plastic. And the cap might be a different plastic. These are trash. So any tubes. Same with toilet or toothpaste tubes, any of those. Trash. I haven't checked in a while. I can't say for sure. Plant pots, trash. There are sometimes in the spring, Lowe's or some Home Depots, not even all of them, will take them back.
Curtains.
Curtains. Okay.
A lot of nurseries will take
They
them.
A lot of nurseries.
They're not doing that anymore.
They'll like take them, but they won't advertise it either because they'll get overloaded. So you can check with your local garden center. And it's strange, even Home Depot. One Home Depot will take it, the other one won't. So it's even dependent on the manager at that store. So you can call your local place. Utensils, any plastic utensils, trash. We don't want them in there. Reusable Tupperware, that's more durable. This even has a number on it. It has a number 5. It's from, I don't know where I got this one. But it's durable. I don't trust that this could be made, go with other number 5s. I just don't trust that. So I would say, now of course this is reusable. We want to reuse this. But if you're like me and you leave it in your car once and it melts into this weird plastic thing, that's trash. Which is why you should buy glass, right? Okay, and then pumps from bottles. This is kind of new. So your lotion bottles, shampoo bottles, things like that. The bottle is great and we want to recycle that. We don't want the pumps. Now if it's just like a lid that you squeeze out, that's fine. It's just the pump, we don't know all the components of it, and there might be metal in there for a spring.
Yeah.
So, pumps.
Deodorant containers.
Deodorant containers, yes. I have been told yes, but now we're questioning it. So yeah, right? TerraCycle still takes them? Okay. Yeah, and that's why we're focusing on the things that we can recycle. All of this stuff. Okay. Okay, last slide, and we're a little over. Big surprise, right? You've been to one of my classes. How could I not know?
Cycle is at the TERRA.
Yep. Yeah, and there are now drop-offs too. Shaving cream cans. Yes, shaving cream cans are yes, but it counts as an aerosol because it is an aerosol. It's just a different kind of mechanism. So take that with your other aerosols to the recycling zone. It's a beautiful steel can, but it's pressurized. You're welcome. Okay. So the last slide I have here is just to go over some new materials, and then we'll be on our way. So things that have been made since maybe some of you have taken the class. And if you're more recent, this will be redundant, but you'll still enjoy it. Yes. Oh, where did I put that? My home recycling guide is somewhere. Thank you. So the home recycling guide, which you all got in the mail, we're actually evaluating this in the fall to see if people used it and read it. We're doing a statistically significant survey to see if people used this. I have to prove that because we've spent a lot of work on it. Did you find it valuable? Did you talk to people? Did they like it? Okay. Was there anything missing that you wish was in here? Yeah, right. Yeah. Think about that as we're planning the next one too.
The fact that you can recycle dryer sheets. True.
Dryer, the box or the sheets?
The sheets.
No, it's on here under boxes.
Oh,
dryer sheet
sneaky.
boxes. Yeah. So boxes, cereal, pasta, tissue, pizza, they're all under boxes. Yeah. Was that confusing to you?
And some other people.
Okay. I will tell our communications people that. I tried to push for boxes, but they wanted to be very streamlined. Good to know. Organics recycling program. If you remember, or if you've taken the class recently, we have 2 drop-off sites. Hopefully 2 more in the next year. I can tell you, because you've all been patient tonight. So the next ones we're hoping for, we have Egan and West St. Paul. The next ones won't be associated with one of the parks. We're hoping to get Apple Valley at the Western Service Center, if you've ever come to the Galaxy Library. We're having a little difficulty, and it's going through City Council and the Planning Commission. So they don't want it there because they're afraid of rodents and smells, and they think that businesses won't be wanting to be around the downtown Apple Valley. So we're going through that. The next one actually invited us to be there, and that's Lakeville. So yay, that's coming. Lakeville will be probably later next year, and I forgot where. I think at their maintenance center. So I think off of 179th, something like that. Right across the street?
For me.
Oh, for you! All right. All for you, Danny.
Smells.
Yeah, don't complain about it. Oh, not bad. You can back there. Okay, so the other thing that we have, which I'm really excited about, is this cling material, and it's a half page, and it's like a big sticker that you can, what we've been finding, we were going to make this a magnet, like we wanted a yes-no list, right? But magnets aren't really good anymore because people have stainless steel appliances. Magnets don't really work. So we worked with our printer, and they came up with this material, and it's a cling, not a sticker. And I'll pass this around. It'll actually cling to anything without leaving a residue. And re-cling, so you can put it, I've tried it on my fabric cube in my cubicle. I've tried it on brick walls. I've tried it on particle board, like on cabinets. It'll stick and re-stick without damaging the surface.
Is that trash when it's done?
It is trash. It's forever. It's an evergreen material. Yeah. Yes, sadly it is. We also have these little mini, Corinne right there. We have these little mini container labels, which I think are adorable. So they're just cute little ones. They're in the back if you want any. They'll be at booths more that you can use at home. So recycling, organic, and trash. Then the recycling zone, just an updated look. So that's all. If you haven't seen it in a few years, this is updated. If you see any recycling zones do you have your binder? Do you have the old one, Chris?
Yes.
Can you take out the recycling zone brochure if you have it in there? I'm testing him. So that's okay. If you see one that is not orange, I want you to immediately take all of them and put them in the recycling. If you find them, I don't care if it's at a park, facility, anywhere, take them.
Other people's houses.
Yeah, other people's houses. It's okay, Chris. Don't worry about it. Okay, so, there's one other thing too. It's brand new. We just redesigned. We got them last week. Our cleaning bottles. So we do a make your own cleaner activity, and we just redid them, and so they look really nice. Not industrial looking anymore. It has the all-purpose cleaner on here, and then there is a spray component. I just didn't bring it. This is actually, you can host an activity, or you might have a booth. So master recyclers, educators call me up and say, I'm doing a presentation. I need 20 of these bottles with all the ingredients. And I give it all to you. And then whoever comes to your presentation or activity gets to keep their own bottle.
I did it for myself.
Do you like it?
Loved it.
It's so fun. And you smell good after because it's lavender. It's great. T-shirts I mentioned. Also, once you hit your 30 hours, if you have and you haven't gotten this, tell me. But you get a window/auto decal. So that's what you'll get after 30 hours, plus a certificate now. So talk to me if you haven't gotten that and you know you have 30 hours. Okay. That's it. Yes.
Is it a problem to put compostable things in the trash?
Are you asking? Or are you?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Well, no, it's not a problem. You can put compostable items in the trash. It's just going to sit in a landfill forever. That's all. It will, in 50 years, it'll maybe decompose.
It'll increase your production of methane.
Yes, it will turn into methane eventually. Yes.
I'll just do hit organics as you were done. More places are having their takeout stuff be all paper, like Old Piper, Cracker Barrel was, Cane's stuff. Is this actually compostable or is it not?
If I don't see BPI anywhere on it or the box it came in, it's trash.
And what I would say, let's say the sustainable forestry or something like that.
Yes,
but it doesn't look like they're plastic at all.
I can't tell.
Cane stuff really looks like paper.
We're so worried about microplastics now that I would say trash still, unless you know for sure.
They have those at the hospital for carrying. There's
where? Which hospital?
Fairview.
In Dakota County?
Yeah.
Yep. I have no idea if it's recyclable or not. Oh my gosh, that's weird.
I have a question that's more of your opinion. What about Trump and the EPA?
I can't really speak to that, but we haven't felt anything in our level yet. We work with EPA people, and their programs are okay right now, so that's all I can really say about it.
At these new, at least at the new facilities for organics, but preferably also the old ones, to make a big sign saying what you can and can't. There's an awful lot of stuff in the organics that probably should not be in there. And I always even think that if we just had a sign saying remember, or something
we
like
could.
that.
Well, if it's getting there, they're gonna put it in, so it's too late.
But maybe they will know for
the next time.
Oh, I shouldn't have put that in.
We can re-educate. I mean, we do as much as possible, but we can. We're planning on doing a waste sort to see what is happening in the. So we count on the workers at SET, where all of our organics goes. We continuously ask them how is our organics. They actually do sort through it, and they're not seeing a problem. So you might see some anecdotal problems, and that is an issue. But overall, Very good.
Because I just know there are a lot of people that now know the 1, 2, 3, 4, who have never done, recycling or anything like that. And they're, yeah, okay.
She's on the job. She goes and takes stuff out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure we all do.
Speaking of SET, so they're at capacity, or pretty close. Like last year when I went to pick up compost, there was like 10 feet between the windrows. This year in the springtime, I went in there and the windrows are touching, and they're like 2 feet, of compost there. Are they getting extra land? What are we doing with the rest of it? We're still promoting the organics, getting 2 more organic sites. Where is it going to go?
So the question was, SUT might be at capacity. They're not. They're actually okay. They actually have a lot more room that they can use. That's regulated to use as a compost site. They're actually okay. They're nowhere near capacity. It might just look like it, and they're using more of it, but they're okay.
So they said it in the lowest class in the spring. So they said it during the class in the spring.
They're not. I mean, we're looking at them. They're afraid they will if St. Paul adds on organics and like larger, but our drop sites are nothing. If they're a blip in the overall organics that they're getting. But there are regional people that are meeting regularly for capacity issues. There might be new technologies that are coming on, like anaerobic digestion, which can take a lot more food, and it's an enclosed in-vessel system where it captures methane, it creates electricity, and then you have a compostable type product afterwards. Government. Yeah. That's what they're looking at. So Hennepin's looking at that with private partnerships, and Ramsey and Washington are looking at it too. And there's federal dollars coming in too.
This is just a comment to everybody. If anybody here has any experience with large-scale green garden waste in community gardens, about what they're doing compost and what they're doing, I would love some information back here.
So Chris said.
I'll tell you.
I'm the
master gardener. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll talk to you after.
Chris said if anyone has experience with larger scale, like more community garden type scale, composting. Okay. You can talk to Chris afterwards. Any other last questions? We'll get out of here. All right, I'll be around. Thank you all. Yay!